Good evening.
Okay.
Good
So
evening.
on behalf of the AusIMM Tarkwa Student Chapter, I would like to extend a warm welcome to all attendees, including students, academics, platform provides opportunity for students to learn and grow, and also promote knowledge sharing, networking, and professional development. On this note, I would like to call on Mr. Nathaniel also to give us the opening prayer so that we start the program. Mr. Nathaniel also, please, if you are in, kindly say a word of prayer for us so that we start. Okay, so Mr. Intiamwa Joseph, kindly say a word of prayer for us. Mr. Intiamwa Joseph, kindly unmute yourself and say a word of prayer for us. Madam Sarah, please, Sarah Lanto, please, say a word of prayer for us.
All right, please be afraid. Lord, we bless your holy name. We thank you for such a wonderful evening. Thank you for today too. Lord, we pray your presence to come and be with us. We pray you give us understanding in what we are about to share. And help us, Lord, in all that we are able to put it into practice. This information that we've gathered in the name of solving, dear Jesus, the Galamsey issue that we are facing in the country. We thank you for today. We bless your holy name. In the name of Jesus, I have prayed. Amen.
Amen. With this, I will call on our chapter president to give us the welcoming address. Mr. Ebenezer Darko, please give us the welcoming.
Yes. Good evening, everyone, and good evening to the chairman of this event, our distinguished guests, executives, fellow AusIMM members, and ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor to welcome you all to today's important webinar, and I wish you all a happy and a prosperous new year. The theme for this webinar, Strategies to Solve the Galamsey Issues in Ghana, will address the national pressing issue of illegal mining and explore potential solutions for it. I would like to thank everyone that helped to bring this webinar together, especially the research team for putting up such an insightful research. I would also like to use the opportunity to provide general updates about the chapter and the activity lineup for the semester. In the commemorating of the 10th anniversary conference and celebration, here is the activity lineup and updates for your perusal. This January, we'll be hosting this webinar, which is the strategy to solve the Galamsey crisis in Ghana. In February, from 25th to 1st February, we will be hosting the AusIMM 10th anniversary week celebration, which will involve an educative and fun activities, which include rep your AusIMM t-shirt, quizzes, annual field trip, networking nights, and games. In March, we are going to have the AusIMM night, which is on the 14th of March 2025. And the activities involved include a presentation by the innovative team on their research titled Development of Machine Learning Models to Predict Stope Wall Stability in Open Stope Mines using Artificial Neural Networks. We also have an alumni panel discussion for them to share their experiences, both as student members and the experience at the industry at the moment. We also have networking opportunities with our guests that we have invited, and also network among ourselves as student members. On 15th March 2025, we will be having the 10th anniversary conference at the main auditorium at the University of Mines and Technology. We're going to start at 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. and we are going to have special guests from Australia and Ghana, industry experts, professionals, graduates, and students all coming together to have this remarkable event. And more details about this event is on our flyer. Now, the conference team proposed the approved theme for the conference is a decade of excellence and empowerment, the academia industrial experience and evolution. And this event, as already said, we are going to bring together industry experts, professionals, graduates, and students to explore innovative career pathways in the mining and allied industries. And of course, we are doing it to strengthen the link between the academia and the industry. And we are going to have a panel discussion by the alumni body of the AusIMM, where we are going to focus on the theme A Decade of Excellence, emphasizing the role of AusIMM Tarkwa Chapter and its future. Now, to the AusIMM student members, we are still inviting student members to join us in promoting this conference to a wider audience. And if you are interested to join this publicity, you contact the organizing secretary to be part. The conference is compulsory for all UMAT main campus members, and the eviction rule still applies to this. So all UMAT members on main campus, it's compulsory for them to join. Members from other campuses, it is free to join the conference. The conference is free for all student members to participate, but those who want certificate and snack, you have to pay 20 cedis for that, and 35 cedis for non-members, graduates 50 cedis, and 100 cedis for professionals. With the annual field trip, there are criteria that we set for members to go, because not everyone would, the capacity that the companies would take in, not everybody will fit. So we have criteria that we use for that, and active participation of chapter activities, and especially the publicity of the conference would really matter a lot. So we are cordially inviting all professionals, graduates, members to join us for this significant event. Your participation is crucial in making this event a success and celebrating the major milestone of our chapter. So before I end, I would like to express my sincere thanks to everyone for joining us to share their insights and make this webinar a success. I look forward to the discussions ahead and hope that we all gain valuable ideas and clearer understanding of how we can contribute to develop the mining industry in Ghana. Thank you, and I wish you all a fruitful section.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today's meeting marks an exciting milestone for our chapter, and we are very eager to share this experience with you. For the next 2 hours, we will be exploring the topic for today's webinar, which is strategies to solve the Galamsey crisis in Ghana. With this, I will call on our research team leader to give us an overview of what we are.
All right, thank you very much. So the research, which was titled Strategies to Solve the Galamsey
In this
Crisis in Ghana.
presentation. We will put that respect.
All right, thank you very much. So just as I indicated, the research was entitled Strategies to Solve Ghana's Galamsey Crisis. And its team was set together, a 10-member team was put together to undertake this research. In the first phase, we decided to look at the overview of Galamsey illegal mining activity and also to peruse governmental strategies that have been put in place that have not been able to solve entirely this issue. Then later on, we started to peruse further and devise a strategy that we think can strategy can solve this menace. So, we are going to have two in the presentation where the first speaker will take us into the detail of what Galamsey is and how or activities that are indoctrinated in our constitution or the Minerals and Mining Act that are considered as illegal. Then we will talk about the strategies that we are proposing that when it is put in place is going to solve this issue that has become life-threatening to us, that are threatening to our environment, to our water bodies, to our health, and let us come together and discuss this issue. Thank you very much.
No, okay. So as we are continuing, we would like to let the first speaker for the webinar start for today's section. So I would like to read a few introduction about the speaker. Mahmoud Yakub Baba is a third-year minerals engineering student at the University of Mines and Technology, and he's also part of the research team that brought together the research on the strategy to solve the Galamsey issues in Ghana. So I would like to invite Mahmoud Yakub Baba to start his presentation.
Good evening, distinguished officials, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to discuss this critical issue affecting our nation's future. This presentation seeks to unveil the causes of illegal mining, commonly known as Galamsey in Ghana. My aim is to provide actionable insights that can inform policy and drive sustainable solutions. Our key message for today is Galamsey is not merely an environmental issue, but a multifaceted crisis that demands urgent and collective action. Imagine a young boy in a small village by the Pra River. He dreams of becoming a teacher, but his reality is far from his dream. His family, like many others, depend on illegal mining or Galamsey for survival, while his father works the land. The river he once swam in now runs murky and lifeless. This is not just a story, it's the story of millions of Ghanaians. Galamsey, simple put, is derived from the phrase gather them and sell, has evolved into a national crisis. It describes the informal process of extracting and selling gold. Galamsey is not just a mining issue, it's a national crisis that has reached severe consequences for our community and future generations to come. Generations to come after us will never know the beauty of our rivers and our forests. A report from the managing director of the Ghana Water Company Limited, Mr. Clifford Berima, has disclosed that about 50% of water treated by the company is wasted due to impacts of illegal mining activities. Did you know that 1 million people work directly in the small-scale mining sector? That is supporting nearly 6 million Ghanaians. That is 20% of the population rely on this informal sector. In 2018 alone, about 43% of the total gold produced in Ghana came from the ASM sector. Reports from Minerals Commission 2019. This demonstrates the economic significance of the ASM sector in Ghana's mining industry. While ASM provides income for millions, its unregulated nature fuels illegal operations. The sharp rise in the ASM gold production from 2010 correlates with weaker enforcement of mining regulations and a surge in gold prices globally. Let's look at the historical roots, how Galamsey became an epidemic. Mining in Ghana dates back to pre-colonial times, with gold traded as the major commodity. Traditional artisanal methods were sustainable but sidelined during colonial large-scale operations. The introduction of the 1989 small-scale gold mining PNDCL 218 seeks to formalize this sector and also issue licenses, but poor enforcement and corruption means that many miners will bypass these legal processes, fueling illegal operations. Weak enforcement, corruption, and political interference allowed Galamsey to thrive. Regulatory bodies lacked resources, and policies weren't effectively implemented. Rising gold prices globally, economic hardship in rural areas, as well as use of unlicensed-heavy machinery also contribute to the modern stage, which has affected Galamsey. So policy gaps and weak law enforcement has further escalated this activity. So these interconnected factors turned Galamsey into a widespread crisis. Mining operations in Ghana. Here, the operations under considerations are the large-scale mining operation operated by companies with proper licensing, contributed significantly to revenue and employment, whereas small-scale mining, on the other hand, is traditionally informal and community-driven, providing livelihood for many, but it's often marred by challenges. Small-scale mining, despite its benefits, has strict licensing processes, means operators struggle to navigate through these licensing processes, and this has led to the rise of illegal mining, commonly known as Galamsey, as an unregulated offshoot for small-scale mining. What do we mean by illegal mining? Simple put, any mining activity conducted without proper licensing or in violation with environmental and safety standards. Common illegal practices could include the use of unlicensed heavy machinery, non-compliance with environmental standards, operating without licenses, and also mining in restricted zones. Why is Galamsey a national concern? Why is everyone talking about Galamsey? From the destruction of forest reserves to pollution of water bodies with heavy metals and increased stability, Galamsey has caused significant damage to our environment. This has led to the shutdown of water treatment plants across the country, including the most recent one, which is the closure of the water treatment plants in Tarkwa. Rivers like Pra and Ankobra are heavily polluted, impacting water supply and agriculture in affected communities. We can also talk about the health impact it poses. Correlation has been made between the increased cases of kidney-related disease and deformed babies, that is the fetuses, and Galamsey. Also, people living in these Galamsey communities recorded astronomical levels of mercury and other heavy metals in their bloodstream. So this is a medical report of a former Galamsey worker with increased concentration of mercury in the bloodstream. There is a term we call bioaccumulation. That is when mercury enters the food chain, accumulating in fish and other aquatics. It poses risk. The mercury used by these miners gets into this aquatic habitat, and these fishes consume it. And we know human beings, we also consume fishes. So when we consume these fishes, the mercury that was present in these fishes will enter into our bloodstream. Mercury is not just a threat to our health, but it's also a teratogen. That is, it affects the growing baby in the womb. We can look at the case of the Minamata Convention. So the tragedy of Minamata, as we saw in Japan, Japan also came up with the tragedy of Minamata. There is likelihood that Ghana can also be suffering from the tragedy of Minamata. Looking at mercury being a teratogen, affecting the growing baby in the womb, it has the ability to cause deformity in childbirth. So this image illustrates some deformity in childbirth. Not just environmental impact and health impact, it also affects the economy. Illegal mining activities such as Galamsey results in loss of revenue for the government due to tax evasion and unregulated gold exports. They also stabilize formal mining operations, creating unfair competition. The destruction of arable lands that could be used to feed thousands of people and produce several tons of cocoa beans has caused the country to lose several foreign exchange earnings, thereby heavily affecting the country's economy and reducing Ghana's ranking in cocoa production. So this chart illustrates the decline in cocoa production in Ghana. So you could see as of 2021, Ghana was producing about 1 million metric tons. But as of 2023-2024, Ghana was producing 500,000 metric tons. So you could see the decline in the cocoa production in Ghana. And also, we could also look at the case of Al Jazeera documentary, The Gold Mafia. Alistair Matthias, a Canadian citizen, who claimed to smuggle about $40 million worth of gold out of Ghana every month for high-level state actors, citing that the government of Ghana loses revenue and taxes due to smuggling of gold products from illegal miners. In just the first half of this year, 36% of gold, in just the first half of 2024, 36% of gold produced in Ghana came from legal small-scale mines with a value of around 1.7 billion USD, according to Ghana Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. But what we are seeing here is the real total might be much greater, and some estimate that less than 30% of small-scale mines are formally registered with the government, meaning that the gold they mine goes under the radar. We also look at the increased security risk associated with Galamsey. Illegal mining often leads to violent confrontations between miners and security forces. We can look at a recent example is in the Ahafo and also the Obuasi incident, where for the Obuasi incident, where 7 people were killed in a clash between miners and soldiers on duty. So this highlights tension and risk associated with unregulated mining activity. The effects of unregulated small-scale mining, especially illegal operations, emphasize the need for a robust enforcement of regulation to ensure the sector contributes positively to Ghana's development without causing any harm or threat to anyone. Why can't we do away with Galamsey? Galamsey is a menace to the environment, but why can't we do away with it? Small-scale mining is a vital component of Ghana's economy, despite its significant contribution to national and local development. The small-scale mine provides direct employment to over 1 million people and indirectly supports 6 million Ghanaians, particularly in rural areas. It also fosters local entrepreneurship and stimulates industries like equipment supply and services. According to the Minerals Commission, 43% of the gold produced in 2018 from the ASM sector. So we also look at one benefit of small-scale mining, that is it benefits significantly to local development. Mining communities benefit from improved infrastructure such as roads, schools, healthcare, as well as other funding that they get, which are proceeds from these small-scale mining activities. Revenue for local government. The lance's small-scale mine operators pay royalties and taxes, which contribute to the revenue of district assemblies. This revenue is very, very crucial for financing local development projects as well as public services. We talk about decentralized development. This sector promotes equitable development by distributing mining activities across different regions, which are often centralized. But this sector, it ensures that both remote and underserved areas also benefit economically. Small-scale mining, when properly regulated and supported, it is not only an economic lifeline, but also a driver of inclusive development in Ghana. As we check, we learned from decentralized development. However, the sector's potential can only be fully realized through effective governance and sustainable practices. So one way we can also control small-scale mining, and the reason why we can't do away with it is that because of the introduction of mining policies. The PNDCL 218 1989 was the first legal framework to recognize small-scale mining in Ghana. Its aim was to formalize the sector and to issue licenses to operators. But however, it experienced enforcement challenges, which allowed Galamsey to persist alongside legal operations. We can also talk about the Mines and Minerals Act 2006, Act 703. This act consolidated previous mining laws into a comprehensive framework for the sector. It regulates both the large scale, small scale, and also including their licensing, royalties, and operational guidelines. However, this particular act, it faced serious challenges in addressing both the informal and illegal mining practices. We can also look at the Amendment Act 2019, Act 995. This amendment introduced harsher penalties for illegal mining activities, including imprisonment and fines. It also provided enhanced powers for law enforcement agencies to combat this menace. Despite its provisions, issues like corruption and resource constraints hindered its effectiveness. can also look at the Labor Act 2003, Act 651, which ensures fair labor practices and the protection of workers' rights in all sectors, including mining. It mandates safe working conditions, equitable wages, and the prohibition of child labor. But illegal mining often violates this act, with unregistered miners operating under hazardous conditions and employing minors. You can also look at the Environmental Protection Agency Act 1994, Act 490, which seeks to regulate and also oversee the environmental management practices. But it also requires mining company to conduct environmental impact assessments before starting operation. However, illegal mining activities circumvent this regulation, leading to unchecked environmental degradation, such as polluted rivers and destroyed ecosystem. These policies collectively form the backbone of Ghana's mining regulatory framework. Now let's talk about the causes of illegal mining operations in Ghana. One of the prime causes, economic desperation, that is a driving force. Here we are looking at poverty and unemployment. From the chart, we realize that Ashanti region, Eastern region, and Western region recorded the high unemployment rate. What can we say about this? And these regions are regions where mining activities are taking place. So the high unemployment rate, especially among the youth in these mining regions, drive many into Galamsey as a survival strategy. We can also talk about failed alternatives. The government came up with programs like the Youth Employment Agency and Planting for Foods and Jobs, which aim to create jobs but face challenges such as inadequate funding and corruption. Government programs like the Alternative Livelihood Program have not provided sufficient economic options. Study from University of Ghana 2021 stated that 70% of households involved in Galamsey. This study cited that lack of job was the key reason why 70% of this household were involved in Galamsey. We can also talk about limited economic opportunity. The mining sector often offers quick financial rewards, making it an attractive option for many. But however, the complex and costly licensing process for small-scale mining deters miners and pushes them into illegal operation. According to 2018 Minerals Commission report, only 30% of small-scale miners are licensed, leaving the majority operating illegally. So economic desperation combined with systemic failures to provide sustainable livelihood has entrenched Galamsey as a way of life for many. This issue is compounded by the global demand for goods, which incentivizes illegal operations despite their long-term consequences. Now let's look at how the international market fuels the fire. The global gold demand. Ghana's positions as a leading gold producer. So it's been at the center of global gold markets. However, this comes with a challenge. The rising gold demand, driven by industries like jewelry and electronics, has indirectly fueled this illegal operation. Also talk about rising demand, where global gold consumption reached 4,021 metric tons as of 2023. That is a 6% increase from 2022, study from World Gold Council. And also, Ghana exported approximately 158 metric tons of gold in 2022, with a significant portion coming from unregulated sources. Also look at international incentives. Unlicensed gold from Galamsey operation often finds its way into international markets due to weak traceability mechanisms. So the high profitability nature of gold, it attracts foreign buyers who knowingly or unknowingly support illegal mining operation. So here what we are saying is the global demand for gold creates a lucrative market that sustains illegal mining operation, highlighting the need for a robust export controls and traceability system to ensure legal mining thrive while Galamsey is curtailed. Corruption and impunity, which is also one prime cause of illegal mining operation. Why the law enforcement agency is failing. Weak governance and systemic corruption have significantly undermined efforts to combat illegal mining. Without accountability, enforcement remains ineffective and Galamsey continue to thrive. You can look at weak legal framework. Ghana has a very, very good comprehensive mining laws, but enforcement mechanisms are often underfunded and fragmented, creating loopholes for Galamsey to thrive. Also look at corruption in law enforcement. Reports indicate that some officials accept bribes to turn a blind eye to Galamsey operation. For instance, a 2022 investigative report by the Ghana Integrity Initiative Fund suggested that over 30% of law enforcement officers in mining areas admitted to receiving bribes from illegal miners. And also, we can talk about political protection. Some Galamsey operators are shielded by influential political figures, undermining efforts to dismantle illegal operations, as well as public perception. The widespread issue about corruption erodes public confidence in government ability to address the issue, creating resistance to interventions. So corruption and weak governance worsens the challenges posed by illegal mining, emphasizing the need for a transparent and accountable institutional reforms. Let's look at how social and cultural pressures, how it affects illegal mining. Here we are looking at Galamsey as a way of life. In many mining communities, Galamsey has become ingrained in their social fabric with deep cultural and generational roots. Families in mining areas often pass down mining practices as a livelihood, seeing it as a cultural inheritance. For instance, in the eastern region, some households have relied on Galamsey for over 3 generations. We also talk about social acceptance and peer pressure. Among the youth, Galamsey offers quick income, making it a socially acceptable initiative for everyone. So it's a socially accepted initiative to everyone, comparing it to formal employment. Lack of education and awareness. Limited access to education in rural areas hinders the awareness of the long-term impact that Galamsey can pose to our environment and our health. Addressing the cultural and social dimensions of Galamsey is very, very critical to breaking its grip on communities and fostering sustainable alternatives. Let's look at government failure and policy gaps. The persistence of Galamsey highlights that there is a significant gap in government policies and their implementation. Either there is a problem with their policies or there's a problem with their implementation process. So anti-Galamsey campaign often lose momentum due to changes in political administration or competing priorities. For example, the Operation Vanguard initiative, which was launched in 2017, showed promise initially, but failed due to insufficient resources and allegations of corruption. Lack of community involvement. Many government interventions fail to engage local communities whose support is essential for sustainable solutions. Without grassroots participation, policies are often met with resistance or ignored entirely. You can also look at ineffective implementation of mining policies. Policies like the Mines and Minerals Act 2006 and Amendment Act 2019 are robust on paper, but they lack the necessary enforcement mechanisms. Corruption and limited funding for regulatory bodies hinder effective implementation. So addressing the policy gaps and ensuring a consistent political commitment is very, very crucial to combating Galamsey and fostering sustainable mining practices. So my presentation has highlighted the key causes of Galamsey, including economic desperation, how social and cultural pressures affect it, systemic governance failure, and also all these factors are interconnected and they require a complex and multifaceted approach to address it. Our call to action is combating Galamsey is not the responsibility of the government alone. It requires collaboration among all stakeholders, including local communities, the private sectors, as well as the international partners too. Together, we can protect Ghana's environment, ensure sustainable development for future generations. The fight against Galamsey is not just about protecting our resources. It's about securing a sustainable future for Ghana. Let us act now. Thank you very much.
You are welcome. You are warmly welcome. Thank you for this insightful presentation. Thank you for this insightful presentation. It's now my pleasure to introduce Aneka. It is to introduce our next speaker, who is the head of the research team and also a member of the admission committee of the AusIMM Student Chapter. He is also the co-founder of Educare Foundation, someone who is very interested in computational geomechanics. Mr. Edward Alban, please take us.
All right, thank you very much for the opportunity to share some strategies that can help solve the Galamsey crisis. From the first speaker, we could clearly see how destructive illegal mining activities to our health, forest reserve, water bodies, community, nation, and the extractive industry as a whole. Galamsey or illegal paints that the extractive industry or paint the extractive industry as a very destructive industry. Therefore, it's time for us to come together as individuals, professionals, community leaders, policymakers, and government officials to find a lasting solution to this problem, which we are proposing this evening. Now, before we start, we want to look at past governmental strategies. So, from the concept, from the gold rush, small-scale mining law, PNDC L 218 was incorporated. So in the way, it sought to formalize small-scale mining activity back then when it was so the small-scale gold mining law of 1989, which sought to formalize or legalize the small-scale mining and also encourage local participation in the extractive industry. In that case, their activities, that is the activities of the small people can be regulated and supervised. But up to now, we could see illegal mining activity in our nation. Fast forward, Operation Flash Out in 2006 was carried out by the then government, which was a nationwide military operation that sought to fight illegal mining miners from expanding their operation into legal mining concession or legal mining sites. In a way, this operation was to reduce or bring down small-scale illegal mining activities in our nation. But resurrected once again. In 2013, the government commissioned a 5-member interministerial task force, which was a joint military police operation that sought to activity by arresting corporates, prosecuting them, both locals and foreigners, seizing equipment and deporting all non-Ghanaians. It came down at a bit, then it resurrected. Then in 2017, government launched Operation Vanguard. Now, the Operation Vanguard was also to end illegal mining activities in the major hotspot region, that is Ashanti region and Western region, which was also a joint military police task force. The Ministry of Environment Science a 64-member to support Operation Vanguard team. This was done for a while until we entered the election year, where government had to slow down things in order to gain votes. since the public got to you because of the very devastating state that illegal mining activities was doing to our environment. So the government had to set up. So in 2021, the government authorized a military Operation HOT. Now the Operation HOT was to do two things: was activity in forest reserve and water bodies. This mission was not able to do the real fighting because as what was going on, licensing was given to them to engage in mining in forest reserve. The irony. Now in 2021, government realized that providing an alternative form of employment for people in this will help fight. But this national alternative employment and livelihood program, we realized that had its own challenges. Now, after carefully reviewing all these, we then develop a number of strategies that seek to do four major things. One is to discourage individuals from engaging in illegal mining activities, but not ending there, but providing an alternative means to make ends meet. Because if we are discouraging them from engaging in it, we need to give them something else that they can also use to make ends meet. Then also formalize the sector, which has been initiated through the community mining, but it has its own problems. And follow the law through special task force, which is the usual thing that we most know better do. Then they empower the authorities in charge of the mining sector. Now, the strategies that we we believe that it could help solve the Galamsey issue is the responsible mining part. From our first speaker, we realize that politicians are heavily involved. We realize that communities are heavily involved in Galamsey because why would we say that? Because the individuals that are engaging in the Galamsey at the pit do not have the funds to purchase that earth moving machine because today Galamsey is not done with shovel and pickers. Earth moving machine, excavators is what they use. And so the machine is very enormous. And so we are seeing that if we were to see all stakeholders come together from government officials, politicians, whether party A, party B, or party C, traditional leaders, they have a role to play because they are the concerns of our local leaders, opinion leaders, representatives from various religious groups. We need to come together and sign this responsible mining pact because it's going to every individual. It doesn't matter if party A is in power or party B is in power. It is going to bound us to play and fight against any activity or industry that seeks to destroy our environment, establishes collective commitment between all political because it included legal action for any individual or group, whether a chief, politician, or community member who value this part can be taken up at the court law, at the law court. Then these agreements are to engage all parties in protecting our environment. Then our second strategy that we are seeing could help fight against Galamsey is the use of security service. Now we've seen from our starting point that military or the security service have always been deployed in the fight against corruption. But that this has not been able to bring Galamsey crisis to the barest minimum. And so what are we going to do different this time around? This time around, we are seeing that the deployment of security services such as the Navy, Army, Police, and Air Force should form, or there should be deployment to form special Galamsey crackdown units, which will be a strategic combating illegal mining activity. Because Galamsey is now evolving to become a security or a national security threat because these individuals are now gotten money and they can purchase sophisticated weapons like pump guns and the rest. And so we are seeing that the Air Force can leverage on drones and advanced aerial technology to monitor Galamsey hotspots. So that our Air Force could use their drones to be moving up and down in these various possible that we consider that Galamsey is going on, because Galamsey always happen in the deep forest and sometimes to along our roads. The Navy can establish monitoring stations near major water bodies, conducting patrols and deterring miners who operate close to water bodies. Our Navy can station along our major water bodies, because with the operation of Galamsey, we realize that in processing operation, they require water. And so they mostly reach closer to water, and so they use these water bodies to do their processing. And so when the Navy is able to pitch there, they will be what? They will be deterred from going close. Then the army and police can use community-based intelligence gathering in supervising whistleblowers to report illegal activities anonymously. Now, excuse me. All right. Then we are also saying that before that, now we've realized that in most cases, the security personnel end up being bribed. So what are we going to do to make them immune of these bribes? We are saying that zero tolerance from political party, or zero tolerance from people that will interfere in their operation, that they would go and arrest someone and traditional leader would come and say that he's my boy, let us leave him or grant him bail. No, we are saying that the police or the security service whom work to protect their integrity, because we know that our armed forces is one of the security service that have the integrity, because they would always want to do things that their integrity would be what will be preserved. And so the cases whereby there's going to be deployment of military or security service to some Galamsey sites will not be tolerated or will not be condoned, because they will be immune in terms of the incentive that it will come along the way. Then our test strategy that we are saying can help solve the Galamsey issue is technology to track mining equipment. We've all heard this, the popular saying that we see the excavators and the next day we don't know where they are. And so if excavators can be smuggled into our forest reserve without we noticing it, if this earth moving machine can be moved from one point to the other to engage in illegal mining activity, then why don't we track this mining equipment? When we track this mining equipment, we could monitor the going and the coming of every mining or every earth moving equipment. If you look at the operation manual of the community mining, it is mandated that every earth moving equipment is of during their registration process at DVLA, that Drivers Vehicle and Licensing Authority, a tracking machine should be placed on them so that we could track the activity. But this is not done in our context, because if this is done, why is it that excavators were seized and yes, till the following day we say that, well, we do not know where we can find them or they have gone missing? If these things are done, then when excavator is moving to Itiwa forest, we could easily track them. If these things were done, then if excavators were moved to a Pramprama forest reserve, we could easily track them. So we are suggesting, or we are proposing, that technology to track mining equipment, because these individuals that are owning these equipment or buying this equipment are generating a lot of money. We've realized that some hide their equipment as high as 8,000 cedis to 10,000 cedis per day. And so if we do this, we'll be able to get a database where we could deploy artificial intelligence to mark areas that are no-go areas for what? Earth moving machine. And so when we realize that that is happening, then fast forward, the security personnel can intercept that operation. Now, this will ensure honesty, because when we get to know that your equipment is found in a mining a Galamsey pit, we would do our investigation. When we realize that we are collaborators, we would put all of you together, because in most cases, we mostly go for the workers in the pit. forgoing the bosses or the big men at the big table, giving the orders. And so we are saying that it will ensure ownership accountability. Then it's going to monitor movement and enforce legal consequences. Then our next strategy that we are saying is community education. Now, we realize that last year, 2024, where the media fraternity was exposing Galamsey activities, people became aware of it. People sounded their voice, or people were involved in the discussion. We are seeing that community education is very key, where NCC, environmentalists, people that are enthused about our environment, social organization can come together come together and educate these people on the lasting effects of what? Of illegal mining activity. Because there's a popular saying, seeing is believing. Until people see the effect, until people feel the effect, then they would come to the realization. So we are proposing that scientific evidence, that is data on how local water bodies have been heavily polluted. So during one of these community engagement, we can go and fetch some of our water bodies. We can go and fetch and bring to their face and show them that this is the state of our rivers. Although there are people who live in the community that are seeing it, or that had the opportunity to see the effect, but because there hasn't been an engagement, an alternative have not been provided for them, they still engage in it. Then we are saying that if possible, that were former Galamsey workers and have health issues, kidney issues, leukemia or blood cancer as a result of what? Of Galamsey, they should come up, or we should give them the chance to speak to these people as early as possible during the community engagement. Now, during this community engagement, we should strive to provide an alternative. That is why the National Alternative Employment and Livelihood Program would come in. Now, that program is a very good program, but it was hinged with so many challenges in terms of resources. So when that program is set up well, when it is well funded through maybe the percentage of the royalty that is gotten from mining operations, then we could, that is the legal ones, of course, then we could channel some of these resources into them and provide an alternative. Because to be frank, an individual goes to work as a Galamseya and makes as high as 1,800 cedis per day or 2,000 cedis per day. If you are telling such person to stop Galamsey and you are not providing an alternative, if it is not close or a better alternative, these people are not going to resign on their decision. And so there should be an alternative to make ends meet, because a hungry man will do anything, even if it will harm his neighbor. A hungry man will do anything possible to make ends meet, even if it will harm its neighbor. And so we are saying that while the community education is going on, the community engagement is going on, there should be an alternative source of making ends meet. And we believe that is going to help solve the Galamsey issue. Now, our next strategy that we are proposing is the comprehensive corporate social investment model. Now, in most cases, one of the key factors driving individuals to engage in Galamsey activities and approach large-scale mining company is the perception or belief that these multinational corporations are exploiting the locals, or they are exploiting their resources. And so they feel that mining activity have been going on in our community for some time now, and we are not seeing the benefits of it. And so in that case, if we are not seeing the benefits in our context, then we will do the mining ourselves. And so in the cases of Obuasi, Adamus resources, where individuals want to access unauthorized places to engage in illegal mining activity themselves, it's as a result of that perception or that view. Although these multinationals or corporations are doing their best in terms of corporate social responsibilities, because these multinationals are constructing schools, constructing roads, providing basic needs for this community. But the people are unsatisfied. They feel that that is not enough because they are saying that, or they believe that these mining corporations are getting more and they get little. That is how they feel. But we all know that the multinationals are doing their best. What we would propose is the comprehensive corporate social investment model that seeks to do four things. Now, this comprehensive corporate social investment model should include government officials, because we know that in terms of allocation of revenue gotten from mining, 20% is given to the community development arena. That is 20% of the resources. And so there's an amount that is given to these people to undertake community, but it seems sometimes, our government, in terms of implementation of policy, the policy can be very nice and beautiful, but the implementation becomes a problem. And so we are seeing that the comprehensive corporate social investment model should bring people that matter. That is government officials, traditional leaders. They are very key in the fight against Galamsey. Community leaders, community members should come together, and these models should do four things: developing human resources, give the people the skill to engage in other useful and alternative source of what livelihood, providing basic needs, very essential, the local economic boost and community development. And we believe that when that is done, the people will be appeased that indeed this is an area where diamond is being exploited, or this is an area where gold is taken from our land. Because when the people are involved in the use of these allocation, the people will see and know that yes, indeed, the resources are being used to develop their community. Then strategy that we are talking about is introducing a medium scale mining scheme. Here, the medium scale is not in terms of the size. It's not in terms of the size of the company, but here we are looking at it in this perspective where there's going to be a collaboration between foreigners and locals, because we know that artisanal small-scale mining is reserved for the locals, meaning that it is only Ghanaians that can engage in ASM. And so we realize that mostly foreigners also, through illegal means, engage in ASM. And that has fueled what Galamsey, especially the Chinese nationals. They are heavily engaged in it, especially when you go to communities where you enter some of their hotels and you see these Chinese people there, especially these mining communities, you realize that, oh, these people are engaging in artisanal small-scale mining. So we are proposing that there should be introduction of a medium small-scale mining scheme where the foreigners and the locals come together to form a 50-50 collaboration. And we are going to roll out a legalization or a regulation process for them so that we can maximize this. Because when we do that, it is going to reduce the involvement of foreigners in what? Galamsey activities or in small-scale mining activity. Because now we are giving them opportunity to undertake a legal where they can also invest in our mining or in our mining activity. Then also it's going to boost economic growth through increased revenue and job creation. Because this is going to open up the mining sector, there's going to be boost in economic growth. People are going to get jobs to do because we are to monitor them and regulate their operation. Then it's going to legitimize and regulate mining partnership between Ghanaians and foreigner entities. Then it will minimize environmental destruction by enforcing strict compliance standards. Then also we are talking about strengthening regulatory bodies. So in our first speaker, he rightly indicated how the various regulatory bodies, that is Minerals Commission, Environmental Protection Agency, Forestry Commission, and the Water Commission, are facing challenges in terms of regulating or supervisory role. And so we are saying that when we strengthen them, they can provide mining support service. So in this case, we realize that the government is giving too much many licensing or licenses to artisanal small scale mining entity, which in a way it is good. But if the regulator is not having the capacity to what regulate or supervise this number of what small scale mining, then what illegal activities is going to go on. So first of all, we are saying that mining support service commission can also deploy students from either KNUST, UMass, UNE, and other universities. They wait them for national service for them to take or Ghana small scale mining entity and provide what supervisory role. So they are going to train them for them to go and provide mining support services. And we believe that that is in a way is going to help even people within the community that are graduate and have the experience or can be trained to undertake this role under Minerals Commission and Environmental Protection Agency, Forestry Commission, Water Resource Commission to do their work, then it could be done. Then decentralizing operation. We can go down to, we know these mining communities. Although the Minerals Commission is doing well to, at least in every mining community, you put up, let's say, an office there, but we need to go down. We need to decentralize operation. Then capacity building expansion. Just as I said earlier, the number of people that needs to be checked are many, and the people that are doing the checking are few. So there is a need. Then the interagency collaboration. Obtaining, our first speaker indicated rightly, obtaining licenses to engage in artisanal small-scale mining activity is very cumbersome. You need documentation from Minerals Commission, EPA, Forestry Commission, and Water Commission. That makes people feel that, oh, why go through the hassle if I can do it illegally? So we are saying that interagency collaboration, when they come together as one unit and issue a one standardized license or assist these individuals that want to engage in legitimate business and help them acquire the license with ease. Notwithstanding, not do because we are saying that they need to make it a little much easier. We are going to give licenses to everybody. Just as I said, if those who are doing the checking are few, then the people that needs to be checked needs to be what? Few. Then also, this will be our last strategy we are going to indicate. We are saying that establishing all processing hub. Now, although we are looking at illegal mining activity or Galamsey, we've realized that, as indicated, we've realized that some legal and community mining operators, through their activities or lack of technical skills, are also degrading the land through unconventional mining process activities. Therefore, a centralized process hub and a technical service providers should be made available to these legalized mining operators. Now, we realize that mostly it is through their processing stage that in a way destroys the environment. Although in the extraction state or the excavation state, it's also destroying the environment, but largely is the processing. And so we are saying that the processing hub will follow this all processing hub flow sheet. Now we are saying that the ore would pass through the hammer milling, then we will get our primary concentrate, then the tailing will be channeled through another place. Then we know the tailings can also undergo a second disc milling, and through sluicing, we'll be able to get our secondary concentrate, then the final tailing. Because it's going to be a hub, there's going to be a much better supervision. There's going to be a much better regulation. So we are saying that the preservation of our environment will be upheld. Complying to operational models will be upheld. The efficient revenue mobilization, because we will know the gold recovery that is obtained, we could do our calculation and the various taxes or revenue that needs to be generated will be generated. Then economic growth within the community. Some of this money could be reinvested into this artisanal small scale mining corporation, and it's going to help us. So in conclusion, we are saying that issues relating to illegal mining activities is a very complicated one. Therefore, it will require all efforts from government officials, politicians, community leaders, professionals from all industries, community members, and the entire citizens to join the fight to preserve our environment and safeguard our precious mineral world. What legacy are we leaving behind for the younger generation to follow? Let's come together and stop Galamsey now. So we were privileged to have these individuals as part of the research team. I myself, Okori Bamfidwed, the research team lead. Adun Frida, the research team secretary. Sarah Jamira Amuako was a member. Sarah Lanton, also a member. Nathaniel Owusu, a member. Yakubu Mahmoud Baba, that is our first speaker. Then Claudia Asare, then Abdullah Abdul Mumin, then Tofik Basiru, then Joseph Jangba in Tiamwa. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Edward Bamfo. We have gotten to the most interesting part of today's webinar. So we would love to hear from you. If you have any questions or contributions or comments, kindly raise up your hand. I'll call you, or better still, you can type it in the chat box and we will reply your questions for you. We'll give you the clarification or anything that you need for you. So if you have any questions, kindly raise your hand or give it to us through the chat box. Mr. Kelvin Eshen, you can unmute yourself and speak to us.
Hello, good evening. Please, this question is directed to the first speaker. Considering the deep-rooted cultural acceptance of Galamsey in some communities, how can the government effectively change societal perceptions and behaviors while ensuring sustainable development and environmental protection?
Okay, please go ahead. Mr. Kelvin Eshen, please, we are listening to you. Kindly give us the question.
Please, my question is, considering the deep-rooted cultural acceptance of Galamsey in some communities, how can the government effectively change societal perceptions and behaviors while ensuring sustainable development and environmental protection? That is my question, please.
Okay, so
Please,
looking at the social perception, changing social perception and also behaviors, it requires combination of education, community involvement, as well as policy implementation. So here we are looking at public education campaigns. So we will launch nationwide campaigns to educate communities on the long-term environmental health and economic impact. Because they are illiterate among us, we use local languages and also make use of community forums to ensure that the message resonates with all the demographics that we are going to show them. And we can also incentivize their sustainable practices. We can also engage community leaders. So we collaborate with chiefs, elders, and other influential local figures to drive cultural reorientation and advocate for sustainable practices. We can also look at youth empowerment programs too as well. So invest in youth-focused initiative that will provide training and employment in industry outside mining, such as agricultural, technology, and tourism. Okay, so this will address peer pressure that is involved with illegal mining. So we can also look at policy enforcement with community support. So we combine strict enforcement of regulations with community partnership to reduce the resistance to anti-Galamsey measures. So we ensure that the enforcement actions are very, very fair and transparent to build trust within the community. And I believe that by addressing the cultural acceptance of Galamsey through education, empowerment, and incentives, governments can foster sustainable development while protecting the environment.
All right. Thank you. We will take our next
Thank you.
question from Mr. Techi. Mr. Techi Stephen, kindly unmute yourself and give us your question.
Okay, thank you very much.
Miss Moderator, let's kindly move to the next question. His network is not that stable. Or yes, so we can type his question in the chat box.
So
Yes.
I have all right. So there is one question in the chat box that I want to read out loud so that our project lead will answer it for us. It says, what alternative livelihood programs can be implemented to support those who currently engage in
Yes, so let me take
who
that.
currently prevents to adapt these alternatives?
Okay, so let me answer that question. Now, we realize that people that engage in Galamsey do so. It's a very lucrative industry. And so an alternative form of livelihood, they are numerous, especially in their context, agriculture, just as my first speaker indicated, tourism can also be given. Then some training, apprenticeship training can also be given out so that they would get skills. But we need to understand that mostly these people will weigh the option. If I get a skill to be, let's say, a welder, would that be able to fetch me the money that I'm getting? So we need to let them understand that although they'll be getting huge sum of money today, but tomorrow they will be in the sick bed and they will use this money to what? To cater for themselves. And so the alternative livelihood program, there are numerous that's government through, as I indicated, the national the national alternative employment and livelihood program can also take it on. Apprenticeship is very essential. For some, we could even give apprenticeship and a well legalized mining entity can even employ them. For some, it will be going into agriculture. Now, sometimes these people feel like agriculture is something that is for the old folks. And so we need to provide a very, how do I put it, a very attractive form of, in terms of the agriculture by we know green agriculture where we do planting in silos and the rest, which will make it much more lucrative and much more sustainable, and also much more sustainable, yes, for these individuals to quit Galamsey.
All right. So I will take one more question, then we close for today's webinar. Mr. Calvin Achiampon, please unmute yourself and
Thank you very much. Please, my question is to Mr. Edward. Banfo. Whilst he was talking, he made mention of the fact that the mining gurus, like the Galamsey gurus, they can come up and then use their capitals to set up a legalized mining company. I wanted to ask him, is there a government initiative for that, or is some arrangement done on that for those Galamsey gurus to invest?
Please forgive me. I didn't the initial part of your question. If you could come again.
Okay, so I was saying, the Galamsey group do have the money to invest. Currently, they are investing in illegal mines, but is there a government initiative, maybe bringing up those people and then their capital to set up a legalized body that they can get profit from?
So there is community mining and there is artisanal small scale mining operation where people, so far as you are of age 18 and above, according to the Minerals and Mining Act, 18 and above, and you can contribute certain amount of money as investment, then there is a chance for you to what engage in legal mining operation. But mostly people look at governments getting their revenues, government taxing them in order to evade tax evasion, and also people are greedy, you know, uh, people are greedy, and so there is an alternative for them to engage in legal mining activities. The community mining has a very robust, to be frank, the operation manual of the community mining is very robust that if it is followed to the latter, the community mining or artisanal small scale mining will be will be very effective and distractive free because the operation manual is very comprehensive. So I'll say yes, the government have put things in place in terms of people to engage, but we are in a society where people are always greedy and they want to have more and they don't care about what will happen to others.
Okay, my question has been answered. Thank you very much.
Thank you too. Please, if you have any questions, comments, or feedback, or you can chat it you can put it in the chat room so that we copy it and then we answer it for you after this webinar. Without much ado, I'll call on our chapter president for his remarks.
Okay, please, I think someone says he has a suggestion for us. Mr. Suedu Zahil, you can go ahead with your suggestion after that, then I'll provide a remark.
Okay. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I would like to thank the research team for this insightful presentation as well. So my proposal is in the form of this way. In order to address the Galamsey minerals in our country, I propose a system in which the Minerals Commission or any relevant agencies, or if I would just say the stakeholders, would organize targeted training programs for graduate engineers and professionals in fields like geological, geomatics, mining, safety and environment, as well as finance and HR fields. These graduates would be trained like on key areas such as operational optimization, health and safety management, and also community relations, in which after the training, they would be deployed to the community and small-scale mines to help improve their methods, educate the local miners, and uphold sustainable practices. I believe this approach will professionalize small-scale mining, reduce the illegality, and also ensure sustainability while fostering community collaboration and improving upon employment in the country. Thank you for this opportunity.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Sodu, for your suggestion. I believe the research team will put it together as part of their solutions to the Galamsey crisis. So, on behalf of the chairman, Mr. Edmond Louis Dema, I would like to deliver the closing remarks for today's event. Now, this session on strategies to solve the Galamsey crisis in Ghana has been critical and thought-provoking discussion. We have explored the historical roots, causes, and far-reaching consequences of Galamsey on our environment, health, economy, and society. Most importantly, we delve into actionable solutions aimed at tackling this pressing issue. As highlighted, illegal mining is not just a mining challenge, it's a multifaceted national crisis that threatens the legacy we leave for future generations. The presentation by our distinguished speaker and host outline key strategies that warrant serious attention, including the Responsible Mining Pact, which is a legal agreement that ensures collective accountability from all stakeholders, enhanced security measures. That is, we are supposed to leverage the military, police, and technological advancements like drones to monitor illegal activities. We also have they also mention community education and engagement, which is empowering communities with knowledge about the devastating impact of Galamsey and the benefits of sustainable practices. We they, they also mentioned innovative mining approaches, which is introducing medium scale mining schemes and centralize all processing hubs to formalize operations and mitigate environmental harm. And they also mentioned strengthened regulatory bodies, which is ensuring effective implementation of mining laws through collaboration and capacity building. These strategies underline the urgent need for collaboration among policymakers, industry players, community leaders, and citizens. The path to addressing Galamsey requires a united effort, innovative solutions, and unwavering political will. I urge each one of us in our respective capacities to contribute meaningfully to this fight. Let us all advocate for policy reform, support the enforcement laws, and promote sustainable mining practices. With this, we can safeguard our environment, protect the livelihoods of millions, and ensure the responsible utilization of our precious natural resources. On behalf of the research team and the AusIMM Tarkwa Chapter, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our speakers, Mr. Mahmoud Baba Yakubu and Mr. Edmond Okoribanfu for sharing their expertise and perspective. To all participants who join us, I say thank you for engaging actively and demonstrating your commitment to addressing this critical issue. Let us leave this webinar inspired and ready to act. The future of Ghana's mining industry and environment depends on the decisions we make today. Thank you and have a wonderful evening.
With this, I will call Madam Claudia Asari to give us the vote of thanks. So, on behalf of AusIMM Student Chapter, I would like to express our heartfelt gratitude to our distinguished speakers for sharing their expertise and insights, our attendees for actively participating and engaging in the discussion, our sponsors and partners for their generous support, and the technical team for ensuring a seamless and successful event. Thank you all for making this webinar a success. We appreciate your time and contribution. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Mahmoud.
Mamush.
Mahmoud, where are you?